Hello there, friends, and welcome back to Sesh Cast. My name is GLDLX. This is Sesh Cast, a cannabis podcast for cannabis sessions, and it is the last day of 2018. Oh my goodness. There is what? I gotta do math now. It's going on 2. There are 10 hours left in 2018 where I record. And yeah, here we are, man. But we'll get back to that. This is Sesh Cast. This is a podcast I do where I get high and talk about stuff. And if this is your first time, thanks for stopping by. That's really cool of you, and I really appreciate it. If this is not your first time stopping by, hey, thanks for coming back. I appreciate that a lot too. So I'm here hanging out today, getting ready to talk about New Year's resolutions, because it's the end of the year, and I think New Year's resolutions are important, and I don't know, I'm skipping over a lot of things that I usually do at the beginning of the episodes because I'm super high and super tired. So let me try and get back on track here. So, starting over. Thanks for stopping by if this is your first time. Thanks for coming back if you've listened to the show before. Cool. Next. Today, I am smoking on Superman OG, do believe. I don't see the bag anywhere. I think it's Superman OG. Let's just call it Superman OG and call it a day. And yeah, like I said, I'm super, super tired today. I had to work the morning show at the radio station, so I was up V early. And am totes planning on taking a nap as soon as I'm done recording this. So, the Instagram is a thing, and on that Instagram will be a picture of the pipe that I'm using for today's episode, which I will talk about after I talk about Instagram. My Instagram is @SeshCast. You can find me there and talk to me about things if you want, or you can just look at the pictures that I post, which are typically pictures of the glass that I use on each episode. Now, I've slacked off so bad. I'm so sorry. We're going to talk about that today. But I have not been as active on Instagram at all in the last couple of months as I typically am or used to be. Hoping to get back to that, but on the Instagram today, when this episode goes out, will be a picture of my brand new pipe that I got for Christmas from my super amazing girlfriend, and I'm so excited and honored to have this. My goodness. I am a big glass collector and have been wanting a piece from an artist by the name of Will Star for years. If you're not familiar with Will Star's work, I'll tag him in my Instagram post. Feel free to look him up on your Instagram. His work is just absolutely phenomenal, and he's been one of my favorite artists since I first got interested in glass. So it is a Sherlock. It's a small Sherlock, but I would call it the perfect size for one person. This is like a great solo bowl, not too big, not too little. Nice to kick it at the end of the day. And this is just like a very traditional J Sherlock. Nothing super fancy about the shape or anything like that. Got a little bulge at the bottom of the neck. The one thing that is pretty unique, well, there are a lot of things that are unique about Will Star pieces, but one of the things that really stands out in this piece is that he flattens out his mouthpieces. So where typically you have a rounded mouthpiece or one that comes down to sort of a conical ending, with Will Star you get sort of these like flat, almost reed-shaped mouthpieces, much more similar to a traditional like wood pipe or corncob pipe or anything like that. So that's really cool, and it's got this sort of like blue mandala flower milli, which makes it super comfortable to hold. Carb is a little extended, which I'm a big fan of. My I guess biggest complaint about this is the very bottom of the neck, and like right at the bottom of the curve is very, very smooth. So for one thing, this piece doesn't sit well. It's really hard to display, which sucks because it's totally a display piece, but I have yet to figure out a good way to prop it. So more to come on that, but also just because of how smooth and how rounded the bottom of this piece is, if you're holding it in one hand and you've got what I would call the comfortable grip with this piece, what I would assume most people would do, which is thumb on the carb, This is if you're right-handed and holding in your left, but thumb on the carb, and then milli between middle finger and ring finger. Then it's gonna make this piece a little bit hard to hold just because the bottom is so smooth, and your ring finger will slide right off of there if your hands are dry. So that's pretty much the smallest complaint ever for a pipe. The biggest thing about this, what's so striking and so amazing, is the color work. So Will Star's line work is just out of this world. I am a big I am an appreciator of fine lines in multiple art forms. So like glass, tattoos is my other big one. Like if you are a tattoo artist with solid line work, I am probably into your style. I just like clean, bold lines are incredibly appeasing to me. So this piece has both of Will Star's what I would call like main color schemes, which is a black and white stripe and a rainbow swirl, and it is just so beautiful. I mean, like you look at this and it screams psychedelic, it screams carnival, it just screams like it just screams. I mean, that's the only way I can talk about this thing, and I absolutely love this piece, and I'm so happy to finally have a Will Star, and the picture is going to be on my Instagram, and I'm jazzed. I'll do like a top glass artist at some point, like my favorites or something along those lines, or the like whose art I like the most. But I would say my top three personal preference is Will Star, Jefferson Glasgow, and Mr. Voorhees. And Voorhees is the one guy I don't have anything from yet. So if you're looking for a place to start like checking out heady glass, those would be three places that I would start. All right, that's enough about that. I'm gonna smoke weed now because I haven't done that yet this episode. So I hope you're smoking something. I hope you're having a good day. I hope you're chilling. I hope everything is good for you. And as we roll into the new year here, this will post on, I don't know what day it is. Today's Monday? Yes. So this will post on the first, second, the third. This will post on the third. So I hope that your first 3 days of 2019 have started off well. I hope you had a blast on New Year's Eve and that it was a safe and awesome experience for you. And yada, yada, yada. I'm going to smoke weed. Cheers, friends. This thing keeps a cherry perfectly. Like, the bowl sits down so deep in it. It's just, gosh, this is such a well-blown piece. Definitely one of my favorites for sure. Let me clear the smoke out of this chamber. Okay, so, today, what I'm talking about is New Year's resolutions. For a couple of reasons, I talked about this briefly last week, but as we roll into the new year, I am someone who always likes to make myself some New Year's resolutions, or more or less some New Year's goals, and some goals for the 365 days to come. And I know that people's opinions on New Year's resolutions go either way as to whether they're worth anything, whether they're just you telling yourself something you're going to do and no one ever holds up to them. I don't really know what all of the opinions on New Year's New Year's resolutions are, but I know that mine are pretty positive, and it's an idea that I'm pretty supportive of for, personal use, I guess. But I like New Year's resolutions because they help me reflect over the growth that I've had in the last year, partially because I always have the same New Year's resolution, and then, I'll just add things to that. And it is always my way to look back at where I came from and, evaluate the growth that I've gone through in a year, and just reflect on my life experience over the past year and how it's been, what's changed, what's happened, where things are, and what can I do in the next year to continue moving towards that goal. And so every year I make the same New Year's resolution to myself. And every year I say, next year I am going to be better. And I mean that just in a completely open ended and overarching umbrella sort of way of I just want to improve over the next year. I want to be better in as many ways as I can. And it's not, I want to grow and improve and be better in every single way. That's a ridiculous goal, but like I want to be better, and wherever I find that improvement, I want to find that improvement. Wherever I have the opportunity to be better than I have been in the year before, I want to take the opportunity to be better. And along with that, if I come to the end of the year and things have not improved or I've gone backwards in some places, I try not to focus on that because I try to focus on, did I accomplish my goal? How was I better this year? And so some years it's monetary. Some That was a weird way to say that. Some years it's like with money that I have. Some years it's with friends that I have. Some years it's how healthy I am, or how in shape I am, or this, that, or the other thing. I try to improve in some way every year. Now, 2018 has been what I would call a genuinely rough year, a generally rough year for me. It's been kind of a roller coaster. There's been a lot of up, a lot of down, a lot of things have changed, and it's been hard to sort of cross the finish line here, not as better as I wanted to be, and not as better as I was at the beginning of 2018, and I did not improve in the same ways in 2018 as I did in 2017. So I've been reflecting on that a lot over the past week or so, past couple weeks. And here I am on the very last day of 2018, really trying to put myself in the mental place to move forward into 2019 and again fulfill my goal to be better, to strive for improvement and to follow that mission to be the best version of myself that I can be. Because every year can't be this like exponential improvement in life. Nothing just improves exponentially forever. There are dips, there are dives, there are spikes, there's all sorts of crazy things that happen in your life path, and every year is never the same as the year before it. So I have been spending a lot of time reminding myself of that. Reminding myself that it's all right that 2018 was not the year 2017 was for me. And trying to put myself in the headspace of not only is that all right, but that is all the more reason for 2019 to be the best year yet, or for 2019 to be a year of major improvement. And that's sort of where I sit right now, where 2017 was this incredible year of picking up and advancing into a new job and growing my experience in my current job and losing a ton of weight, getting in really good shape, starting to save a lot of money, just doing really, really well. And then this past year has been a lot of the opposite of that. I've gained a lot of weight back. I've been spending a lot of money this year. Career things have just been a train wreck, as I've talked about in a couple episodes. I don't remember when I brought up that episode, but that I've lost out on a couple jobs that I've applied for this year. It's been a roller coaster of a year. And so I have been evaluating what the path of 2018 looked like, and how January, February, March were pretty typical, and then April was where things started to sort of bounce around and change, and just the way that 2018 progressed for me. And looking at that and saying, all right, well, now how am I going to change those things in 2019? How am I going to avoid the same things that brought me down in 2018, and how am I going to improve myself in a genuine way this next year and just leave 2018 behind me? So I think that one of the arguments that people have for New Year's resolutions is, it's a waste. Why don't you just commit to that mindset anytime? Like, why don't you just make that decision anytime? Why do you have to wait till January 1st to start these new things? And that's what I want to talk about next. I'm just going to hit this again. So, I'm going to take a quick hit. Feel free to do the same. I hope that you will join me in this. Yeah. Cheers. Ooh, that one snuck up on me. Oh boy. Oh gosh. So what I hear, I think, the most about New Year's resolutions, well, the two things that I think I hear the most about New Year's resolutions are, one, I either don't do New Year's resolutions, or I try to do New Year's resolutions every year, but then every year I'm like, I give up on it by the third week of January, the fourth week of January, something like that. And then uh, the other thing that I hear about it the most is what I just said before that smoke break, which is, why do you have to wait until January 1st to make these changes? Why can't you just make these changes at any time? So I want to address both of those things, and I'm going to go in reverse order. So I should write down that I want to talk about giving up, but I'm sure I'll remember. Famous last words. So, I hear all the time people saying, why can't you just adopt this mindset anytime? Well, I'm sure that some people could. But the thing is it's not a requirement, it's a helpful tool, I think that it's really hard for me to step back from the crazy daily grind of my normal life and evaluate how I've been doing over the past couple months. It's hard for me to take that second to step back and say, where am I really at? What changes do I really need to make? And I think a lot of that is because of just the hustle and bustle, the grind, the work schedule, and I think that that's true for most people. But what I also think is true for most people is that December 26th through January 31st, the world just ceases to exist for a week. It's like we have Christmas, and then 7 days later, 6 days later, whatever, we have New Year's Eve. And it's like, how the hell do you adjust? What sort of life are you supposed to live between, I don't know, maybe two of the biggest holidays and two of the biggest times where almost everybody, a huge majority, just stops and says, nope, we're going to do this other thing for the day. So for those 6 days, my life slows way down, and it's like this every year. Like, my life slows way down. Things are much different and out of schedule and out of whack and out of alignment, and it just seems to always give me the time to stop and say, where am I at? Like, what's going on right now? What do I need to change? What do I need to do differently? So that's my 6 day break to put myself in that mindset, to make that decision to change. And the reality is, I really struggle to do that at other times. I really struggle to find the time to say I do need to change, or find the time to consider the changes that I need to make when it's not around the holidays. My other thought to that effect is, I forgot. I wiped my eyes. Oh, that's it. Duh. Okay. So um I say this all the time, and it's because my boss used to say this all the time, and there's a psychological thing about this, and I don't know what it's called. I should look it up because this is on the level of like the Bader-Meinhof phenomenon. So I'm gonna try and talk about this while I'm looking this up. But like, why do you forget things when you walk into another room? Okay, here we go. Is there a name for this? This was 2011. Like, is there a theory? Does this have a name? Okay, new research from University of Notre Dame psychology professor Gabriel Radvansky suggests that passing through doorways is the cause of these memory lapses. So this is a real thing, and there's a whole scholarly article which I didn't read in advance, so I'm sorry. But this is Radvansky is his name. We'll call this the Radvansky phenomenon. Um, like my other favorite phenomenon, the Bader-Meinhof phenomenon. But the Radvansky phenomenon is the thing that happens like you walk into another room and you forget why you came in there. I'm gonna cough. Excuse me. Like, yeah, you walk into a room and you're like, what did I come in here for? Or you open the fridge and you're like, what was I looking for? And then you walk back out of the room or you close the fridge and you're like, that was it. Damn it. And then you have to go back and do that thing again. So that's what I'm going to call the Radvansky phenomenon, which is caused by the brain's perception of doorways. And when you walk through a doorway, when there is a, like, when you walk through a doorway, open or close a door, your brain effectively categorizes oof, your brain categorizes that moment as a new experience. It puts you like, it's like turning the page, it's flipping into the next memory, so to speak. Your brain has closed the loop that you had in room A and started the new loop in room B. And it's just like these small little like memory capsules. It's like your brain saving. So when you walk through a door, your brain thinks, "Oh, I must be doing a new thing," and forgets what you were thinking in the last room. I think that I don't know if they mentioned it in this article, but my guess is the same thing applies. That like if you're having like bad dreams or weird thoughts and you flip over to sleeping on the other side, you'll start to have different thoughts. Um, I think that's why that is. I don't know that that last one is related. That's my theory, but um, the Radvansky phenomenon, I think, applies to New Year's Eve. And New Year's, you're going into a new year. It is a time to change. It is your, like, I'm moving into a new year. Let me make this new year something different. And it's easy to associate those two things, and I think that that is a good tool for people to use who want to make life change, or who want to um, have positive improvements in their life, to categorize it as a different time in your life. And I think that's exactly what New Year's Day does naturally. Wow. Okay. So I want to talk about people like giving up on New Year's resolutions. But I think I want to smoke again. I don't remember when the last time I smoked was. I'm already kind of like scatterbrained, but I'm going to smoke this again. Yeah. Cheers. Okay, so people quitting New Year's resolutions. Or people giving up on New Year's resolutions. I word my New Year's resolution in a very specific way, and that is just to be better. And I word it in that way because it's super general and super broad and not something that I can fail at like quickly or in one go. Like, if you make a New Year's resolution to go to the gym more, if you make a New Year's resolution to eat healthier, if you make a New Year's resolution to cut out soda or something like that, and you go for a couple weeks and you're going strong, and then something comes up and you eat that piece of cake, you drink that Diet Coke, you skip the one day of going to the gym. It gets really hard to hop back on the train. I don't remember how long it is, but it's like you got to do something every day for 3 weeks to form a new habit or something like that. Um, yeah, I think that's what it is. I think it's like 3 weeks or like 21 days, maybe. I guess that is 3 weeks, but once you do something every day for that long, it will become a new habit. But it takes a long time for you to form a routine and to make a change like that. And so I word my New Year's resolution in a way that it's not something that I can walk away from, because it's not a one day goal. It's not a short term goal. It's very long term. And then I make New Year's goals for myself, but I call them something different. I consider them to be something different. And I often do. Like, I want to go to the gym more, which I did a really good job of this year until the last couple months, and I'm proud of that. Or I want to drink less soda, which I did really well in 2017, and 2018 wasn't the best year for me in that regard. Or, I want to get better at radio. I guess that's a strange way to phrase it, but that's something I did very well in 2018. Or a perfect example is like this podcast or some of the other shows that I'm working with right now, where I really wanted to develop a hobby for myself in 2018, and I wanted to work on projects that I was proud of and that would replace other projects that have since gone forgotten. Um, I wanted to start something new, and I did that in a couple of ways, and one of the ways is with this podcast. And here I am, almost a full year after. I think I've got 3 episodes left before the year mark after this one. Um, so close to the I've actually done this podcast for a year mark, and that's a huge accomplishment. Um, and so those goals come and go, but all of those factor into my New Year's resolution of be better, of just doing a good job on myself, and working to put myself in an improved state. And I think that that's always my advice to people who feel like they can't make New Year's resolutions because they can never keep New Year's resolutions. And that is, make your New Year's resolution something super crazy long term and super big and super general. Something like, mine is, I think, the most general, broadest example, but maybe it is like not to eat more vegetables or drink less soda or count your calories every day, but just to like eat better, eat healthier, something that is like very very open ended. And there was another word that I was going to say that I forgot, but change your resolutions to something that is more broad and something that is not an everyday one time occurrence, goal, routine. And then make your New Year's routines, make your New Year's goals the individual small scale things, and try to achieve all of them, and understand that you might not meet all of your goals, but that doesn't mean that you can't continue to work towards your resolution after you have missed out on one goal, or a goal has failed or gone to the wayside or whatever. I think that that's really important. I think people get discouraged, and it's easy to get discouraged, and I get discouraged about keeping up with New Year's resolutions and just general change. But there is a lot more to improvement, and there is a lot more to positive change than just the day to day and just the small pieces. And so to judge your success off small metrics does not do you the service that you deserve. Yeah, I just think that is of importance. Um, yeah, yeah, I'm gonna take a hit. I'm gonna take a big old hit, and I'm gonna sit here and regain myself a little bit, and then I think maybe I'm gonna talk about some of my New Year's resolutions. Or not New Year's resolutions, my New Year's goals for next year. So take this moment to Smoke weed. Cheers. Okay. Boy, oh boy. Oh gosh. Sorry, that made a lot of noise. I am sorry. Um, so next year, 2019, my New Year's goals for the year. Let me put them on audio paper so that they can be reminisced upon at a later date. Um, Obviously the resolution is still to be better. And some ways that I would like to be better are the things that I mentioned earlier that were not as good for me in 2018. I would like to get my weight back under control. I'd like to get working out a little bit more. I would just like to get genuinely a little healthier in 2019 than I've been in 2018. Um, but I would also really love for 2019 to be the year of career change. Not changing careers, but to make strides in my professional life. That would be a huge goal for 2019. And a lot of my goals for 2019 involve my digital content that I create and my own personal content like this podcast. And there are definitely specific things that I want to do with this podcast and hope to continue to do. When I was in the beginning of the show, I was on Instagram as often as I could be, and it's been a long, long time since I've been on to just scroll, and I'm not posting as regularly anymore. And honestly, life just stacked up. Something had to go, and this was the one that ended up being it. And I stuck strong with it for months and months and months, and it just hit a point where it got hard to keep up with. And I am looking at ways that I can change up uh, where that sits in my priority order and change up how much time I have to dedicate to this podcast, because the reality is that right now I don't have very much time to dedicate to it, and that's a huge disappointment. It was something that I did a really good job of getting off the ground, and something that I'm very proud of the efforts that I've put into it, but my efforts have been dwindling lately, not by choice, but by necessity, and I really don't want it to be that way. But I am to the point where I can spend maybe 2 to 3 hours on this podcast a week, both physically and mentally, and it just suffers because of that. And so one of my huge goals for 2019 is to get this show back to a priority point in my life and something that I'm able to spend more than a couple hours a week on, and to grow and improve and just become something a little more. Definitely a goal for 2019. And that sort of goes back to the professional life improvement as well, where I would like to hit the point where I don't have to work 2 jobs and I can be doing one thing consistently and have a regular schedule, and pursue casting as a hobby more than I am now. I need to turn my laptop back on. Sorry. Oh, there we go. So I want to be able to put more time into podcasting as a hobby, and that is starting with PodCon in January, which I'm super excited for, and I'll have more details on that soon. But just to focus more on turning this podcast into more than a 2 hours a week thing for me is a huge goal, and as a goal that I hope I have the time for. But at the same time, one of my other major goals, and this is one that I think that is a great goal for me to have, and one that I'm looking very forward to pursuing early in the year, is finding better ways to manage my own mental health. Because it has been relatively negative over the last couple months of this year, and it's affected a lot of things, this show included. And so one of my huge goals is to find someone to talk to and talk about ways to manage my mental health in other ways than just my medical cannabis consumption. You know, it's incredibly helpful for me. Cannabis is, and it does so much for my mental health. But at the end of the day, sometimes you need a little more, and that it's something that I'm so appreciative of, and I don't think that I ever want to stop using cannabis as a medicine for my mental health, because it has absolutely changed my life 110%. But it's not bad to try other things and add more, and it's taken me almost a year to admit that to myself. But I think that it's a goal for me to get my mental health under control in 2019. One of the ways that I want to do that is to talk to someone and figure out other ways to manage my mental health. And so I look forward not only to the positive outcomes of that, but to the positive influences and impacts that change will have on this show and the amount of time that I have to spend on it. And that's going to be great. And I'm really looking forward to that. And, you know, I've already pretty much locked on with my landlord that this is going to be the last year in this house, and going to move on to hopefully you know, as much as I love the place that I live and the weird group of people that I live with, you know, it's time to get into a place that suits me better. And I've been living a dirtbag life for a while, and I want to continue to live a dirtbag life, but have a little bit of a better home base to park my proverbial van, because I don't have a van yet. But yeah, you know, it's just 2018 was a rough year, and with the way that I look at New Year's resolutions being just a reason to get better and just a way to monitor my improvement, I look back at 2018 as a year where I did not do a lot of improving. Or there was improvement, but I've made a lot of negative headway here in the last 6 months as well. And nothing is anything that can't be undone. You know, nothing is anything that I can't flip around and improve upon. And so 2019 is going to be the year for that. And that is very exciting for me, and something that I want to continue to remind myself of, because I'm someone who is very, very good at looking in the past and thinking about everything that has happened already and putting next to no thought or energy into what is still to come. And so that's where I want to turn myself towards. You know, I want to turn myself away from the road behind me and turn myself to the sunset and the sunrise in front of me. And that's an exciting mindset for sure, and one that I feel like I have not had in quite a while. So that is where I am at here at the end of 2018, here in the last couple hours of 2018. 9.5 hours remain, which is nuts. Because things happened in 2018 that I thought happened years ago. Like, there was an Olympics this year, which I don't remember. The last week of December is always great because everybody, like, drudges up the memes from the first couple months of the year. And, like, remembering the memes of early 2018 is hilarious. Good old internet, I love you so. Just, you know, there's stuff, man. There's crazy things that have happened this year, and there are going to be crazy things that happen next year. But as we move on into 2019, I hope that you can also really evaluate where you've been this past year, and from that evaluation, decide and figure out where you want to go next year and what you can do to get there. And I hope that it goes awesome for you. And to that I say cheers. To that I say I should have picked up this bowl a couple minutes ago. And I hope that you can smoke one with me. To next year being better. And to personal improvement and personal gain. Cheers. Well, I think that's pretty much going to be it. That's going to be a podcast right there. It's almost a new year, and by the time this comes out, it'll be a new year. And I hope that in this new year, every single thing that you've ever wanted to happen for you happens for you. And I know that it won't, but maybe this is the year it does. You don't know. It's too early to know yet. We got, at the time this episode drops, 362 days left. I still have 365, but you have 362. Remember in elementary school when it was 364 and 1/4 days a year because of February and the leap year and all that, and how big a deal that was? And then you get older and you're just it's just 365. It just is. That's a weird thing. Yeah, that's a weird thing. But I hope that your year is great. I hope that everything is great. I hope that my year is great too. And if you would like to come along for this ride, I much appreciate it. Thanks for hanging out. It's been super, super fun this year. 2018 has been wild. I've met people, talked to people, and gone places and done things. And it's all things that I never would have thought I'd do. And I never would have thought I would have a weed podcast. But here I am having one. So thank you everyone for coming along and being part of this journey. And I hope that you will choose to continue to come along with this ride for me. And if you would like to, feel free to follow me on Instagram at Sesh Cast. Feel free to do the iTunes review thing on iTunes. Feel free to subscribe to me on whatever podcast app it is you use. I kind of finally put together the way that affects download numbers. I know, it's dumb. I should have realized that. But I don't want to talk about it. Do whatever it is you want to do to follow along. But if you choose to do it, I really appreciate it, and I'm looking forward to what next year is going to bring. So I'm going to hit this one more time. I'm going to get out of here and go celebrate the last couple hours of 2018. Hello from the past. Hello from the year that it was. And I look forward to seeing you in the year that it will be. I'm going to hit this one more time. Cheers. My name is GLDLX. This has been Sesh Cast. Thank you so much for listening.